Thank you, Nadia, and good morning. Good morning, all, and thanks for joining us again today for the Surtax Means Business, what you need to know now. So to get started, I'm going to go back to some past virtual workshops. And again, as a small business, we understand and I respect the fact that you're busy. You need to be working. So as I often tell the small businesses, I appreciate it when you come to these workshops, similarly before COVID, when we were doing the face-to-face workshops. But I want to remind my small businesses, please come to get the information you need and use that information. Also, as you go through our calendar, as you get our weekly newsletter, like you'll be getting this evening, please look to the workshops that fit you, the ones that you think will value you in moving forward and creating more opportunities for you as you participate in Broward County procurement. And I say that is because we're not being redundant. We need to be, but we're not. We're trying to advance and move forward to make sure we're informing all of our small business community about all of Broward County's opportunities. But no, I do not expect any one business to participate in every single virtual workshop. You don't have enough time. You need to be about doing business and making money. But if you do take of your time and join us for these workshops, I want to make sure you're taking the information and you're using it. And that's what today is about. This isn't one of the virtual workshops dabbling in Surtax, where I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about the county, the program, the commission's intent, and how to get certified. You've heard all of those. We even have that information for you with past workshops, past videos on our website. As I told you in the last Surtax website, and what I plan to come back and do for you in the future, I think it's in November, we want to start drilling down and make you, or to help you understand some things and some steps you need to be taking to competitively put yourself and your business in position to win some of these awards. That's what it's about. In case you ever got that mixed up, this is about small businesses competitively, no freebies, competitively competing in Broward County procurement and winning contracts, doing quality work and getting paid and growing your business. So we're going to use that principle, apply it to Surtax today, and I'm going to give some more tips on things you ought to be doing right now. Next slide, please. So, as you already know, and you should be aware, the penny for Surtax, inclusive of this period, unfortunately, called COVID, that penny that the county will be generating, it was looking to average about $355 million a year, every year for 30 years. And folks, we still got 28 more years to go. But we also recognize and we understood that for eligible projects, there's a 30% small business goal. We recognize that small businesses won't participate in all contracts because some things that the county will be procuring, which is allowed off of this penny, will not be eligible for small businesses. And we've said this since September of last year. None of my small businesses manufacture buses. None of my small businesses sell buses. So since transportation will be buying brand new buses, when we use the Surtax money, I can't put a goal on that. So what we did, we said approximately half of that $355 million a year. If I put a 30% goal on half, that gets us to about $53 million a year. I need my small businesses to know that there should be a focus on at least $53 million a year of what would be eligible projects that small businesses could participate. And when this originally started, it's a 30-year program. We got 28 years to go. Next slide. So today we're going to focus on the process. But remembering what I always say about the 3 Ps, program. As a small business, please read your Business Opportunity Act 2012. So on my website, that's the ordinance. That's the program. You need to know Surtax projects or just regular county projects. You need to know what it is when my office says CBE goal. You need to know as a county what it means when I say CBE reserve. You need to know what it means when we say sheltered market reserve. But focusing on Surtax, You need to understand that we got a 30% small business goal. If you want to understand how the program works, look at the Business Opportunity Act and begin to focus on the reality that 30% of what we plan to do with small business. So the more you understand the program, which as a certified small business you are a part of, the more you understand the program, the better position you're in to use it for the process. And today, as mentioned, we're going to focus on process. We want to make sure you understand that in addition to the county, the cities will be spending this surtax money. The cities will be doing so with their own procurement. We don't control or run any city's procurement, but cities are signing interlocal agreements, ILAs, with the county that for their surtax projects to use these funds, they too are committing that 30% of what they're procuring will be procured and used with certified small businesses. So now from a process perspective, if I'm a small business, I not only want to know the program, from a process, I want to know, oh, what's the process for the city's procurement? Where can I identify and find these projects the cities are looking to go out for bid on? Those are the type of things we're going to talk about today. And we're also going to get to that third P, which is people. And sometimes people is no more than understanding our office, our newsletter, the eventual information you'll get about cities, their bid portals, their purchasing departments, their engineering departments or planning departments, whichever departments that the cities will use to put their bids out. That's the people we're talking about, in addition to prime contractors. If I'm a small business and I'm looking to be a sub, I'm going to have to find ways to familiarize myself with prime contractors. So the P in terms of process is going to be the focus for this morning. Next slide. So I'm going to run through what we know today, what you should know. If you've been paying attention to Surtax, everything I'm saying you should know. If this is your first or second meeting and you're just getting familiar with Surtax, we're going to bring you to that point of catching up. I want to do it from a process perspective and put some emphasis on where the cities are with their projects. Then we're going to have Mr. McCoy from transportation. He's going to drill down and use a few examples to show you exactly where he is in terms of opportunities for small businesses for what they're procuring. So the first thing you need to understand, 97 municipal projects totaling about 65 million. And there were 40 rehab and maintenance projects totaling about 55 million. And that's a total of 121 million. This information has actually been available since January or February of this year on the Penny for Transportation website. All of the cities had their projects reviewed by the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. And then the Metropolitan Planning Organization had an obligation to submit and recommend projects in a ranking order to the Penny for Transportation Oversight Board to be approved. And then after that approval, the same approvals needed to go to the Broward County Commission for the allocation of the dollars. So this information right here, if you've been following Surtax since June of last year, then you would recognize that this has been available since January, beginning this year. Next slide. The other thing you need to do is recognize that when we got till about May of this year, those proposed projects were shown in this format. They were shown so that you would recognize what was shovel ready, what was design projects, almost ready, and what still needed planning and design that down the road would be ready. So if I'm a small business, here's the beginning of process. Yes, Mr. McDonald in the Office of Economic Small Business Development and Broward County Cities, I need to know the projects. That was the previous slide. Then you tell yourself, I need to know the projects that the Oversight Board approved and that the County Commission allocated funds and their approval. And I need to know, based on my industry, who I am, what's shovel ready, what's at design, and what's still at planning and design that eventually down the road will be shovel ready. This is what you want to know. And if I'm a small business, first of all, Mr. McDonald, I'm a small business. I don't have a lot of staff. I need to be working. So I can't monitor 31 cities and the county. This is why we have these workshops. This is why I do a newsletter. This is why we put this on our website. We know you can't, but we also know just as much as you work in your business, you have to work on your business. So we're still going to help you by making this information available. But based on your industry, you might say, well, my type of industry, construction, concrete, asphalt, I want to know what's shovel ready. Because if I understand which projects are shovel ready, I now, before the cities actually go out for bid, can begin to familiarize myself with that city, familiarize myself with the bid portal the city uses, familiarize myself and possibly get registered as a vendor with that city. I want to know exactly what my status needs to be. This is why we're sharing this information. Next slide. So with that, you now want to understand from a process everything that happens. Municipalities submit projects for review, ranked by the Metropolitan Planning Organization. I shared that. Projects reviewed are recommended to the Oversight Board. We've said that. Projects reviewed by the County Commission for approval. We said that. When the cities are ready, they then send their proposed projects to our office, and I have staff who reviews those projects. That's where we review to see if there's eligible small business opportunities based on those cities' projects. When we look at it, that's when I begin to raise the flag to inform small business communities of future projects on the horizon coming from the cities. We assign a goal. That city works with the county's attorney office to take a look at the project and make sure, based on all the dotted I's and the crossed T's, they have an interlocal agreement, an ILA. Once the cities enter into that ILA, then they are allowed to officially go out for bid. So understand this. We get to review a project. We get to assign a goal to a project way before that project ever goes out for bid. So there's a window that if I'm a small business, I want to know when Mr. McDonald's office is reviewing. And if I know when they're reviewing, I know there's time before that project ever hits the street. It's this middle when I want to begin to do my homework, to try to put myself in a position to understand the project, to understand the scope, and to try to make a determination. Is this something I want to bid on? Is this a city that if I'm not registered, I need to get registered on? If the project based on size is one that I can go after it, even as a CBE, as the prime, or is this a project that's so large that I believe my best opportunity might be to be a sub, so I need to begin to learn more about the project, begin to try to identify potential primes, as well as follow the process, so at some point I can introduce myself to potential primes to try to become one of their subs. Again, process means if you know where a project is, if you understand how information is disseminated, if you know when's the best time for you to begin to identify the scopes, that puts you in a better position before a bid. And we say this, bids, whether it's county bids, whether it's city bids, the official portals that they use is the necessary and the official communication you need to deal with to actually respond to a bid. It's always about the procurement, whether it's the county procurement or the cities. That's true. But I'm going to find ways to tell you in advance of a bid some things you need to be focusing on. I'm going to try to find ways in advance of a bid to tell you about a bid that's coming. That's where our office, from a development perspective, wants to be helpful. We could never give you that date of the bid until we get that date from the city. But I can always tell you, hey, we just reviewed a few projects from a few cities. Hey, here's the scope on those projects from the cities. Hey, we want you to be on the lookout because this is what those cities will eventually be putting out for bid. Please pay attention to these cities and their procurement process. That's hot tips, and we'll talk about those later because we do that every Wednesday in our newsletter. Next slide. Surtax projects, where are they now? So let's take a look at the county and some of the cities, and we want to actually spend a few minutes before I get to Mr. McCoy and look at some actual projects. Next slide. So again, I need to put my glasses on. I have my glasses. Hopefully you can see this, but remember, this will be on our website. Folks, you need to recognize that we have the project names. We have as our small business status. We understand the award and the estimated amount of the project, and you can even see for the ones that we've reviewed what the goal is. So here's the key for a slide like this. When I look to the far right and I see the word goal, if I see that the Office of Economic and Small Business Development has assigned a goal, that means, based on what I told you 5 minutes ago, OESBD has reviewed that project. Now, what we do know, if OESBD has reviewed that project, until the city dots the I's, cross the T's, and are in position to go out for bid, that means I might need to be hunting down this project. So this is a list of Surtax funded projects that have been reviewed to date by this office. We also got this list, or I'm sorry, we also shared this list with the Oversight Board and the most recent budget hearing. So you need to understand, there's about 24, 25 projects that cities have sent us that we've already taken a look at, that we've already began to identify what the goal will be, if there's a goal. Sometimes there's not a goal. Sometimes the goal is larger than 30. That's something we've already started doing. And as another hint, this is the type of information on Wednesday nights that we also stick in that newsletter when we say hot tips. So this, if you're in your office, if you're at home and you're trying to strategize, you definitely want the list of all the projects that's on the Penny for Transportation website that's been approved. You don't want the whole list. The whole list was out there last August. You just want the list right now of the ones that's been approved by the Oversight Board and the ones that's been approved by the Broward County Commission. So that's your first list. The second list you want to have access to is, if I got the list of all the ones that's approved, which ones have found their way to the Office of Economic and Small Business Development for a goal? Because if I get the ones at least that they've reviewed, I know they approved and they got money. I know OESBD has reviewed it. That means I now can look at these projects. I can look at these cities. From OESBD's perspective, I can get some more information about the scope, and I can decide which of these projects, based on scope, based on my service and my industry, do I want to begin to target. Folks, I can't tell you how to do your business. My job in business development is to make sure I give you the information about projects and try to give you as much of it as possible before the bid comes out. This is how you now begin to decide which city, which multiple city. Again, you're small. I don't expect you to be able to have access and have staff that can review and visit 31 cities, but you can go through a list and you can read some of the scope and you can determine, based on your industry, which one sounds like you, and then you can be aggressive about those. So this list is a list, which is a legitimate list right now, that we have that's available that you should be charting. You should be charting what we have reviewed in addition to everything that was approved. We're not even back in the day of everything that was proposed. Forget that. Everything that's been approved, and as we review it, we'll be sharing it. Next slide. So here's another example. Consultant services for transit services, and this now is going to be on the county side. I just gave you some cities. Here's some county examples. And I'm not, again, I won't steal Barney's thunder. He's coming up shortly. Consultant services for transit surveys, infrastructure, and shelter design. They already have a prime, which is CTS. The project status, this was a project that was already awarded. The awarded dollar amount you can see, we had a 25% goal recommended. They committed to 30. I'm using these county examples to show you the steps that have already been taken for some of these county projects These are the steps that are still happening on that previous slide in the cities. I'm using the county to show you that for this process, and yes, if you were a part of the previous Surtax workshop, if you were a part of the Surtax workshop at the beginning of this calendar year before COVID, and if you were a part of the Surtax workshop last fall, you heard about these in the same manner I just told you about the cities. These are projects that we started out last June, September, August, and the November workshop telling our small businesses about. The county has continued the process. And this is just an example of how the county projects were awarded. Yes, there's more county projects coming that will be in the same position as those cities. It's not awarded yet. That's the key. Not awarded yet. Nothing on those, the majority of those cities are not awarded yet. I just wanted to use the county as an example of exactly what we're getting ready to do with the cities. We've already done with some of the county projects. Next slide. So going back to some of the municipal, and let's just take one. Take that first one, it's Dania Beach. The project name, Southeast Drainage Project. I'm gonna skip over. It's an 800, and I need my glasses, folks, I'm sorry, $634,000 project. And it's a 30% goal. So in order to see it has a goal, remember, that means my office has already reviewed it. What I can tell you, the project is not on the street yet. Will be coming, but it's not on the street yet. This is the status that my office wants to provide to small businesses as we review the projects. The earlier I can get this to you guys, the earlier you can begin to start to focus on the different projects. You see the goals, and then you know which city. So now you need to make those determinations. You see Dania Beach, you see 3 projects for Davie, you see a Deerfield Beach, you see Fort Lauderdale, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 Hollywood, and you see several Miramar. You see several Miramar projects on here. So these are projects that the cities are gearing up. At least you know they've been reviewed. You see the ones at 30% go. You see some at 40% go. There's one at 16% go. There's some that's no go. So understand this. Some of the projects will have no go. As I told you, we don't do buses and stuff. But some will also have no go because they also fall up under the $250,000 threshold. You know, our shelter market program again, if you know and understand Broward County's program, our local program, shelter market, is everything under $250,000. We try to find ways for SBEs, small business enterprises, to participate. The SBE example of our program is not included in Surtax. Surtax is strictly CBE, County Business Enterprise. So that means we'll only be setting goals or looking to consider setting goals on projects $250,000 or more. So again, a slide like this is very important to you because you get the city, you get the project name. When you read a project like this in my weekly ball, you'll even get more details about some of the scope. That's what you want, some of the scope. If the name doesn't say it for you clearly, you want 2 or 3 more sentences about what those cities are looking to do with that project name. And then you always want to check, has OESPD established a goal yet? And if they've established a goal, or if it's under review for a goal, that's your hint. I have time. The city has not put this out for bid. And Savika, who's running this office, who always facilitates these workshops and this technology for us, understand she's in my office of public communications, our outreach. One of her jobs is working with each of the cities to make sure that after the review, while the cities are dotting their I's and crossing the T's, we are charging, we're challenging, we're working, and we're supporting the cities. And we're asking the cities to let us know when it goes out for bid. Now, you certainly need to pay attention to the bid portal. That's the official bid portal. That's where bids will really come. But we want the cities to let us know because we want to help the cities announce it. So even though I'm telling you, you want to hear once we've reviewed, and we're going to make sure you have that access. We're also going to scream loudly when we find out from the city that bid is on the street. But remember, from the review that my office does to the bid on the street, that's the time in the middle for you to get busy about trying to determine how or if you would go after that project. Next slide. And again, some more Surtax funded projects from municipalities. So we got Tamarack down here, Pompano got several projects, North Lauderdale and Plantation. And again, here's a buzz. Let's take that second one, Plantation. Plantation, we got a citywide roadway resurfacing project, phase 1. It's a $2 million+ project in review. Guess what? In review means my shop. I'm reviewing it. Haven't established the goal yet. Reviewing it to establish the goal. So see, that's the type of information, that's the type of tip, that's the type of hot tip that we stick in our newsletter. And once I've made that review and my staff sends that back to the city of Plantation, you'll see that project listed in the hot tip section of our newsletter. And I want to be clear, in the hot tip section, we'll be telling you Broward County's Office of Economic Small Business Development under Surtax Municipal Projects just reviewed a potential project from the city of Plantation who's looking to do citywide roadway resurfacing phase 1, approximately 2.7 million. And then we'll tell you what the goal is. But then we'll remind you, this project has just been reviewed by our office. Please follow City of Plantation's procurement when the bid is available. But that's the beginning of you finding information. That's the beginning of you continuing to trail my newsletter. That's the beginning. If you hadn't registered to be a vendor with Plantation, you want to register to be a vendor of Plantation, because Plantation Procurement will do their own bids. So folks, the essence of the day is to make sure that you know there is a real process that you need to know before the bid that can help you get more information to either make a decision on what to bid and make a best decision on what best information you need to be competitive in your bid. And we're trying to say to you, in dotting your I's and crossing your T's, this information, folks, is available. Those projects I showed you about 5 slides ago from the county, all of that went through this same process. In case you didn't know it, we announced it. We told you in workshops, we told you through the newsletter, we told you through email blasts. So again, you need to understand, we're now in the phase that projects are beginning to roll out. And when I get an exact date, I'll give you an exact date, but at least you now know when you see in my newsletter that something's under review, or when you see in my newsletter that we've already set a goal, you now need to be about your business of researching that project and putting yourself in position before the bid ever comes out. Next slide. Projects updates, bid status. Again, here's some more in terms of the same scenario. We got one down here from Broward Boulevard, Northeast Southeast 15th Ave. That actually closes today. You got another one, planning and design for Riverside Drive Streetscape. That actually closes tomorrow. So again, this is from our website. This is from our newsletter. Information that we're always trying to make available. So again, we don't want you to just wait for the bid. That is the official process. The portal is the official location you need to go for all bids. But you need to know, because some have been asking me, and this is why we're doing this workshop specifically today. Folks, there's been information we've been giving you about upcoming projects. And some even asked in one of the previous workshops. You know, I'm tired of hearing about it. I want to know when they're coming. Slow down. That's the point. You don't want to wait for when they're coming. You want to know before they come so you can prepare yourself to know what to do when it comes. I'm now saying to you on September the 16th, projects are getting ready to start coming. From a county's perspective, the new fiscal year starts October the 1st. And in terms of a get ready, get set, and go, cities, when you see I've already reviewed, you now need to understand when I've already set a goal, cities are now getting ready to finalize their dotted I's and crossed T's with the county. And that project can go on the street anytime within 2 days, 1 week, or up to 3 weeks after you get this information from us. Sometimes it may be longer. That's even more helpful. But I don't want you to think that these projects go to the street through bids without you knowing. You do know. And as busy as you are, you have access to our website. As busy as you are, you have access to my Wednesday night newsletter. Next slide. So, getting to know before solicitations, that's all we've talked about. Which cities have projects that may use your firm, know which cities to engage and learn their process. Broward County uses BidSync. BidSync actually for branding is going to a new name, Periscope. Don't get mixed up. You go to that old BidSync website and you see Periscope pop up. Don't think you done lost yourself. That's the name change. We're going to start announcing that more today. It's more for our branding. Periscope about 2 years ago bought BidSync anyway, and Periscope now is just getting ready to take over the name. So prepare yourself. BidSync as a tool is just changing its name to Periscope. But in terms of the look and the feel and the utilization as we understand it, no changes. And municipalities may use their own procurement. Some use BidSync/Periscope. Some use Bid and Tender. Some use Demand Star. Folks, that's another part of the homework. Next slide. That you need to understand, but as a part of the homework, we too are trying to get that information for you because you are busy. So we are working with each one of our municipalities to try to get the name of the bid platform that they use. And as we get all of the municipalities and their bid platform, we will keep this posted. Forget posted. We'll keep this plastered on our website because that's going to be key for a small business. You don't have time to website Google 31 cities to find out each one of their individual platforms. So we're trying to get that information to make sure that it's available to you. And then you can also understand that city's procurement. You can become a vendor if you choose and get a better feel on how that city's procurement will be going out on the street. But again, any and every small business that wants to participate in Surtax has to be a certified CBE, no matter how the city does their procurement. Again, whoever the prime is, he or she still has to find small businesses that are certified. Yes, they can work with small businesses, that's not, but it doesn't help the goal. It only helps the goal for the big companies and the cities to work with small businesses to fulfill whatever that number is, 16, 30, 40, 45. So just know we plan to keep this running on our website on a regular basis so that you'll know which bid portals our cities are using. Next slide. Community relations. That's Savika. Miss McCall is their manager. Tamika Bell is the person who do a lot of the social media. They got Pam Danberg, who's helped a whole bunch of you to understand how to navigate BidSync. They got Vanetta Williams, who does a lot of the virtual workshops and the planning and the programming. The one coming up in October, the big one, Contracting Opportunities, she's preparing that one. Community relations outreach provides technical assistance. They're the ones that try to get new small businesses to come and get certified. They're the ones trying to educate non-certified businesses to understand why to get certified. And they're the ones trying to take certified businesses and lead you to these opportunities. They're posting this information. They're willing to entertain your questions about this information. And they want to make sure, especially for Surtax, that they marry you to the cities. As much as you're knowing about my shop and our process, you also need to know about the cities. Next slide. So stay in the know. Our website, our CBE directory is online. The Business Assistance Weekly, that's that Wednesday newsletter. You can subscribe or send your email to any of us, and we'll add your email, and you'll get that newsletter every Wednesday night. The meet and greet and the Surtax events. Sorry, we're not doing the face-to-face right now, but these are our Surtax events, and the meet and greets will still also happen this way through the virtual social media. We're on the Twitter, we're on the Facebook. Penny for Transportation website, you can always follow what the Transportation Oversight Board is approving, what decisions they're making. Even the old meetings are archived. You can go back and look at the old meeting. And for the Broward County municipalities, the solicitation information. You do want to understand the processes in the cities. So this is how you stay engaged. Next slide. And let's get connected. There's our Twitter, YouTube, we still put information out. That's our Facebook. There's our email. If you got your camera, I think you can put your camera photo over this little thing to the right. and you can tap it, and it's a way that we automatically marry ourselves to you. But in the end, let's get connected. And I think we're going to update the slide. We're going to say, let's get connected and let's stay connected. Don't get connected and not use our services. Don't get connected and not go to check the information that we're placing. So let's get connected is good, but let's stay connected and let's use the connection. Folks, all the things I'm telling you about, my staff put into these social platforms. We put on our website. So this information I'm actually repeating, and that's the right term, repeating today, has already been out in the business community. I'm just trying to show how to connect the dots so you can take advantage of it. Next slide. And that's where I seriously bring a real friend, a real professional, Mr. McCoy, the Assistant General Manager, and he's going to give some examples specifically relevant to, again, Barney and his boss, Chris Walton, and some of you have trailed us, started this with us in the beginning. Yet we're going to do some more stuff with Highway, ETS, and others in our next workshops. But Mr. McCoy was around in the beginning telling you some of the stuff he's thinking about doing, telling you some of the stuff they were looking at doing. He's now going to tell you some of the stuff and what that status is. And in that first slide that I showed earlier, you saw some of the things Mr. McCoy talked about over a year ago, how we've not only set a goal, but folks, we've already awarded those projects. So again, he's coming to you today to begin to just share some more about a few projects and their status. And this is not the beginning. This is a continuation, folks. So at the end of the day, we hope you're really getting this information, understanding the access, and using it to your advantage. So Mr. McCoy, thanks for joining us today. The floor is yours. Are you on mute? Do you need to be unmuted? What we got?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We hear you now, Barney.
I'm sorry. Good morning. This is Barney McCoy, Assistant General Manager for Service and Strategic Planning. As Sandy indicated, we started this a while back, and we continue to come to you and tell you about projects that we're doing, these exciting initiatives that we have. And I know a lot of times you may think that this is just a lot of talk for us, but again, as Sandy indicated, what we wanted to talk about this morning was go through some of the projects that we've actually been talking about over the years and provide a status for those as to where we are, and in addition to providing some direction or insight on some things that still more exciting things that we've got coming. For those of you that have attended this in the past, it's always been my statement, now is a very, very good time to be in Broward County. We're in a position to actually fund some of these things, and we want to do some of these initiatives, to provide a transit system for connectivity and mobility that the residents of Broward County deserve. Next slide. Okay, what we have here are a snapshot of some of the initiatives that we've been talking about. I'm going to go through each of these and talk through these. Before I move forward, though, I just want to say I've got actually some other county staff here on this call. Trevor Fisher is the Assistant General Manager for Capital Programs. He will oversee a lot of these capital-related construction projects. In addition, there's Ms. Aretha Douglas, who is the Program Administrator for the Capital Programs, and Kurt Petgrave, who is the Construction Project Manager Supervisor. If you look at the chart here on the screen, you've got some rather large amounts here in the total estimated amount. And what I want to specify before we get into a lot of detail is that these are monies that are already programmed in the Surtax. These are not monies that we have to look for or find or wait to be budgeted. These are monies that are already programmed in the Surtax. The difference being, though, that these are 2 fiscal years' money, for FY20 and FY21. The first project is the High Capacity Transit Planning and Engineering RFP. Has a total value of $45 million over 2 years, but the status of that now is that there was only $10.6 million for fiscal year 20. And what that $10.6 million is supposed to pay for, it'll pay for us to have a transit systems plan done, which will give us a blueprint for what we see is going to happen in the agency and how the agency should be structured to move forward. In addition, at the end of the development of the transit systems plan, there's going to be a recommendation made for 2 quarters, one specific to light rail and one specific to bus rapid transit. If you see on the bid status here, that bid closed on July 22nd with 6 proposals, and the initial SC meeting is scheduled for September 28th. Some of the subject matter disciplines for that are specific to marketing, planning, marketing, planning. There's going to be some public outreach, communications. There'll be a lot of data analysis. And again, for this RFP is intended to take us through 30% design. So at the conclusion of the transit systems plan study, at the conclusion, after the recommendations are made, we'll get through 30% design. So there will be a design and engineering component of this project. Next line is for the comprehensive operations analysis and system revisioning and the general planning consultants. These projects were programmed or budgeted for $2 million apiece. It's key to know here, though, that even though the COA was canceled, and we canceled that, just to be frank, in response to COVID, the comprehensive operations analysis will have a lot of public outreach in it, and public outreach, community type outreach, and us doing a lot of activity on the buses in terms of talking with our riders. In a COVID environment, that's not necessarily the best thing to do. So again, there's $2 million that's budgeted for that. That at the point that we canceled the RFP, there was already a 30% goal assigned to it. At the point that we see ourselves clear of COVID, we'll go back and implement this project. But again, subject matter experts or areas of expertise for that are specific to marketing, planning, data analysis, route design. There'll be some organizational structure as part of that system revision as well. The general planning consultant, $2 million already budgeted. If you look to the far right, the bid status on that is that was in the process, part of the normal county process. There's an objection process. We had a vendor who objected to, I guess, some of the rankings, but the SC will reconvene this Friday, as a matter of fact, to make a determination how we're going to move forward with that. Again, you've already got a 25% goal for small business assigned to that. And this general planning consultant is something that's new for transit. It's something we've needed for quite some time. We've never had the funding in place to get it. But what it will allow us to do is to have some expediency and extra or additional subject matter expertise for some of these things, for some issues or things that may pop up where the county may not be positioned to address it, or honestly may not have the subject matter expertise on staff. But when I tell you that this covers every facet, every operational and administrative facet of the agency, it's an understatement, because within this general planning consultant, there is scope for service planning, strategic planning, capital planning, some design concepts, organizational structure, operational planning, SOP development. But again, every facet or functional area of the agency will be able to reach out and touch this contract for some of these hot button type items. Bus stop signs and solar lighting, $850,000 funded for that, and that's actual for current year, FY20. The draft specifications and requirements are in progress for that, but what that consists of is essentially bus stop sign fabrication, bus stop sign installation, and the hardware and installation associated with the solar lighting. Local bus infrastructure. Right off the bat, you see that there's a 35% goal assigned to that. This specific project is in place to support the new routes coming out of the Surtax. Specific for this project, we're talking about service on Nob Hill and McNabb. But again, this $5.5 million that's programmed for that between FY20 and 21. If you see to the far right, bid is already out, forced response received with an estimated contract amount of $3.8 million. Subject matter expertise for that is related to drainage, curb, concrete. The next item is the bus shelters. As part of the Surtax, the county committed to fund 75 shelters annually for design, construction, and installation across the county. The number that you see in the middle there is $20.7 million, but don't forget that's between FY20 and FY21. If you look to the far right, part of that is construction, engineering, and inspection. That's pending the county auditor's review, but we expect to have that advertised on October the 20th. Estimated contract value is $3.775 million. And if you look before that, the transit, shelters, and amenities is currently advertised, and the bid actually ends today, but the estimated contract amount on that is $8.3 million. Next page. Now, whereas the first page had projects that were already in our procurement process in some shape or form or fashion pending award. Some of these things on the second page here are things that have budgeted monies, program monies, but things that we have not formally put into our bid process, either based on the timeline or just based on the development of these specifications. In order for us to move forward with some of the initiatives specifically service-related for the Surtax, it's going to require us to operate out of a third facility. The $25 million that you see here is monies that are programmed, and really what we're looking at there is land acquisition and possibly some early design and site concepts. Again, that's a project that's forthcoming, but the monies for that have already been programmed and budgeted. Intermodal centers. If you're familiar with our system, we have an intermodal center in Pompano Beach, and it's called the Northeast Transit Center. This is what this is specific to, and this is what that funding would be for. Again, this $2 million program for that. The procurement is, in terms of timeline, is yet to be determined, but what we're looking for on that, again, are some early site concepts, early design types of things with that. Next item is the rehabilitation and construction of the Copens facility. Our Copens facility is our largest facility it's actually in Pompano. There's the $7 million program for that. And again, what we're talking about is a rehabilitation, redesign to help us operate better out of that facility until the third facility is acquired and designed. The status of that is draft design specification, the pending county auditor review. But what we're talking about at that site are some things like design, civil engineering, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. But those are the types of things that we will be looking coming out of this project specifically for the small business program. Next line is electric bus charging infrastructure. You know, for years, BCT is operating, actually any transit system across the country has operated diesel buses. You know, in light of the Go Green initiatives and sustainability, we're looking at transitioning our fleet slowly over to electric technology as the technology matures. This $3 million here that was programmed is programmed for infrastructure out of our Ravenswood facility. If you look to the far right, though, that's pending advertisement with an estimated contract value of $1.9 million. We already have a goal of 33% assigned to that project, and what we're talking about really for this is civil engineering. The next item is parking ride lots. As the system grows and we start looking into things like light rapid transit and bus rapid transit, parking ride lots will be even more, they will be even more integral to our service than they are right now specific to the express service. But the $15 million that you see programmed there for parking rides is possible to include land acquisition and again some site concepts, early design type of things. Next item is IT enhancement. Again, $5.1 million combined program for that for fiscal year 20 and 21. What we're talking about specifically for this though is system support and hardware support and software support. That could be for some of our existing systems or systems that we may need to acquire to compete, be competitive in this new environment. Next item is security enhancements. Again, $6.7 million for that. If you look to the far right though, these are already working themselves through our procurement process. We're talking about a retrofit for our current video system specific to the hardware. And then we're talking about the Illuminator, which is a software license specific to that as well. But again, a total of $6.7 million between 2 fiscal years with an estimated contract value of $4.4 on the hardware and about $100,000 on the software. So again, these things are moving forward, and as Sandy indicated, we ask that you get plugged in. The project managers for each one of these items, they're on the phone with us today if you have any specific questions. But again, we're excited about this. We're in a position that, to move some things forward, specifically on the capital side. And, with that, I'm open to field any questions that you may have.
So thank you, Barney. So again, we've also been entertaining questions in the Q&A as well as down here in this chat. But to be clear, and again, thanks again, Barney, for what he shared. Folks, the Surtax session today was to remind you, because it's not new information, was to remind you that projects we talked about a year ago even though unfortunately for the last 6 to 7 months, we've all been dealing with COVID. There's projects that has been, and there's projects that still will be moving forward. The county is committed to using Surtax and other projects where monies are already here in the bank as a way to stabilize these rough days of COVID, these rough days of a shrinking economy, and to use them as a way to keep businesses operating and even create some growth. We still got some challenges ahead. We're no need of faking that. But when you talk about Surtax, even if I'm not collecting this year, the $355 million, I'm still going to collect something. So whatever we collect, when I get to 2022 and I need to use those dollars from the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, we're still going to have projects. Right now, we have all the money that we collected last year, and that's why these projects are going to roll out. So these projects, the more you know about them, the more you know about them in advance, should put you in position to be competitive. And I keep saying that because I can never promise, and I never will. I'm never going to promise you're going to win. I often tell you, whether you come through our workshops, you came through our small business program, or you came through our entrepreneurship program, I'm government. You should never stick your egg in just one basket. So hopefully you're doing far more than just waiting on the county. But if you take a look at Surtax and the county, if you take a look at Surtax and the municipalities, this is a good basket to begin to put some, not all, some of your energy into, to make sure that projects that sound like you, the more information you can get that can be of advantaging to you, helps you to be competitive. Yes, the day you started your business or the day you took your business over from your granddad, it was business. And at the end of the day, you need to nurture relationships, you need to find new business, you need to do quality work, you need your work to speak on behalf of you, you need to expand your business. Broward County is saying, and has been saying, that what the county procures, inclusive of Surtax, now with our 31 cities, we want by ordinance small businesses to participate. So our job through this office is to give you as much information as possible about Barney and Transit. Later on, we're going to hear from Rich Tornice and Tony Huey of Highway. We're going to hear from other folks from our IT division and ETS. Anything relevant to Surtax, in addition to 31 cities, we want to share as much as we can with you so that you can get the information timely to competitively decide as a business model what you want to go after. So that's all this is about, sharing information. And as I said in the beginning, I get it. We actually do as an office 2, sometimes 3 workshops in different areas, different projects a week. You can't be on every call. You should not be on every call. You're too busy trying to make money to be sitting here for an hour and 90 minutes, but you must select those calls that you think would be advantageous to you. And other than just being with us on those calls, you have to take that information and apply it. I need to see some of those new names. I just spoke with someone last week, and I apologize. We have about 52 viewers today. I got 713 certified small businesses. There's over 77,000 businesses in Broward County. So I'll let you decide on your own if I should have more than 52 viewers. But to your advantage, as one of the 52, if you heard something today, and I think the person is on this call who spoke to me last week, told me about their company and what they do in signs. You just heard Barney talk about signs. You just heard him talk about it on the front end, where there's still going to be an opportunity for future bids. That's the point we're trying to make. I can never promise what's going to come out. But as I know about it, I can tell you what's going to come out. I can tell you what those scopes are, and then you can decide if you want to engage yourself. So that was the intent today. Hopefully you got that substantively. Now we'll pause, and Savika, if you got any questions that we want to take live, Barney and I will certainly take some of those questions before we close out.
Sure,
Hey, I just had one thing to add to that.
Sure.
To hit on a point that you made, Stan, and that's just for the folks who are on the phone, just to reaffirm how serious Broward County and specifically, Broward County Transit are about this small business goal. And just, I've said this in past, and Stan and I've made these presentations, that I've spoken with more consultants probably in the last 2 years than I have the entire 11 years I've been with the county. And that the larger firms, they get it, that the county is serious about this. We hit that point home when they asked to meet with us. We speak with them about their commitment to the program, to the small business. We ask them about apprenticeship programs. I've had firms to call me and ask me point blank, we understand we've got to meet this 30% goal. Who do you guys want to see on this contract? And although, I laugh when they ask, in my mind, it's a paradigm shift to say that, hey, they're taking this serious. We've had some procurements come through, it's all public record, where we've had to go back and forth with firms on the front end because, they're not really, I won't say playing with the numbers, but the commitment that they were asked to make for small business may not have been what we asked for, and then it changed during the process. But just to let you know that Broward County Transit, we're very, very serious about these small business goals. And again, we're going to do our part in hammering this home with the larger firms, with the primes. But we want to make sure that you guys step up to the table as well to take advantage of the opportunity. As Sandy said, we can't promise you anything, but we can definitely make that playing field as level as it needs to be so you can get in, or at least be competitive in the process.
Okay, Savika, what you got?
So I think this one is for Barney. Does the third maintenance facility have architectural components to it?
Yes, it would have some architectural components to it, yes.
So that one was for Melvin. If you have a follow-up question or if you need any additional information, please reach out to us. The next question is, with the BCT Security Enhancements Project, is the $4.4 million budgeted for hardware design solely for the procurement of the hardware, or is there any engineering design services associated with that budget?
It's a retrofit, so I believe there will be some engineering design, but I would have to check specifically with our IT department to get you a specific answer on that. But I believe it is based on the fact that it's a retrofit.
Okay, and just for all our attendees, I want you to know that you will receive a copy of the recording of this presentation, as well as the contact information for our presenters today, as well as mine. Our next question is, will there be a meet and greets with primes and subs for these upcoming Surtax projects? As suppliers, we would like to connect with them and see how we could work with them.
So there will certainly be some. There will not be a meet and greet for every single one. There'll certainly be some. We've also extended that invitation to the cities. So when the cities are getting ready to do projects, we also want to make sure that as they prepare to introduce it to their primes and our subs, we can have those meet and greets. But again, let's be clear about the meet and greets. For the projects, if the projects are going out for bid, the primes, when they respond, have to already identify which CBEs they plan to use. That's why with the cities or with the county, when we have projects similar to today, we want to talk about it. When we have an opportunity to cluster a group of potential primes in a room, even if virtual, and invite our small businesses into that room, then the small businesses, the way we used to do face-to-face, could then begin to meet some of these potential primes and make sure these potential primes know who they are to go after the bids. But if I'm a small business, I also have to understand as a process. I want to begin to understand the scopes so I can do some research as to potential primes so that I individually, without a meet and greet, I don't want to bring competition to myself, can start outreaching to potential prime, sending my own capability statements, trying to make a phone call, trying to make that connection so that even if there is a meet and greet, the meet and greet isn't the first time you've spoken to the prime or introduced yourself to the prime or at least reached out to the prime. The meet and greet then becomes the second or the third time so you can remind the prime, though they never got back with you, I'm the individual who sent you that info 3 months ago. I'm the individual who told you that I know about your program. I'm the individual who told you that I believe what I offer will advantage you. And I'm the person I believe that not only will I advantage you, I'm also certified I can help you meet the goal. So understand this, we are going to try to do, even virtual, as many meet and greets as possible. But you already know, you saw my list. Even with the cities, they're ready to rock and roll. We're never going to be able to do a meet and greet for each. So for the ones we can, we will announce in advance. For the ones that you don't see, that's why we're having this conversation today. You now know, using our hot tips, meet or greet or not, you can find out about a project. Yes, it's homework. You now got to determine who are the primes in the area that normally does business related to that. If it's a city project, you might as well start with the city. Let's find out some traditional or regularly used primes in those cities. Folks, that's the connect the dot. But yes, we're going to try to do as many meet and greets as possible. But knowing that I can't get to all of them, we're telling you, you still got a leg up. If you know when the project is originally proposed, when there's a goal before it ever goes out to bid. So that would be my answer.
Okay, thanks, Andy. This one is also for you. It is a thank you for this presentation, but someone would like to know, they're in the Caribbean catering business. Is there ever a bid for food service?
So for the most part in Surtax, no. I would want that person to contact us direct, because this is what we do with all businesses. And thanks for that question. Because I often tell folks, and you've kind of heard me allude to it, the worst thing I can do even with these workshops is waste someone's time. So even when business is not certified, I actually entertain, me myself, before I give you a staff, I'll entertain a call. I want to talk to you about your business, not just Surtax, across the board. Because I'll even take staff and we'll take a look at your industry. And we'll go look in the last 3 to 5 years to see who buys your good, material, or service. If the county's not buying your good, material, or service, I don't want you breaking your neck or wasting your time getting certified with it. If we are buying your good, material, or service, then we want to get you engaged. And sometimes if we're not, we can still talk to you about the economic development side. We can make sure you understand all the county partners. We can make sure that you understand that where the county might not be buying that good or service, there potentially might be the chance that some of our partners could use your good or service. So you can use our directory and our resource guide to find other business opportunities. As an example, the county isn't buying food right now relevant to the convention center expansion and the new hotel, but the vendor himself, Balfour Beatty himself, on at least 2, if not 3 virtual workshops, have told us, because they have rented office space for the next 3 years across the street from the convention center, and they constantly have meetings, and they needed to do catering, he's been buying his catering intentionally. Not from my Subways and Firehouses of the world. He's been buying it from small business. It was just another way that he believed, as a firm that's going to be here for 3 years, could give back. That's the kind of information we'll share with you. But understanding and knowing Surtax, the definition on the website, for what you just asked based on your industry and catering, no, I don't see real opportunities in that regard, but I'll still have this conversation with you.
And I think it's a follow-up question or a similar question from Julie Fernandez. Is we are a medical supply store in Coral Springs. Is there something we should participate in?
For Surtax, no. The relationship we have and the way that Broward Health currently procures their goods and services using our registered vendors, yes. As a medical supply, if you're dabbling these days into PPE, the county is procuring that on our own now. Yes, we can tell you about that. Surtax, as we know it, knowing the definition, no. But these other opportunities, I'm willing to have that conversation with you.
Okay, and once you have a CBE, is there a logo or a certificate that we can put on our website? Is there one for DBEs to put on their website?
So for CBE, if you get a CBE, you get that certificate that I signed. You can shoot that, screen that, and do whatever you want with it. But this office, through outreach, is taking a look at actually branding a logo. We are now looking at coming up with some sort of a label or logo that we can offer you, so you guys can put that on your website, or you can put it on your capability statement, or use it different than the big certificate I give you with my name on it. So we're working on that now. We're hoping to be able to have something roll out by the end of the year. DBE, that's different. As you know, if you're a DBE, that's a federal program. I'm already having my office to check to see if I can do anything unique and different. It's a federal program. I'm really not supposed to do anything different than what's done nationally for all the DBEs across this country. But again, the certificate is the best way to reshape or reframe to identify who you are other than just putting the acronyms. I get it. Some of you at the end of your capability statement, you write down MBE, you write down DBE, you write down SBE, you write down CBE, you write down 8A. We know all the acronyms. So yeah, we're definitely doing something for our SBE, CBE that we hopefully will announce by the end of this year. But the federal program, I'm going to have to decide if the feds will allow us to do something that someone else isn't doing.
And are there any opportunities through Surtax projects to provide storage or warehousing services to store supplies or materials offsite for county or municipalities?
And that's a good question. And here's the thing, if I'm a realtor, a broker, or in this case, if I own storage and warehouse space, the idea is to then understand, not so much Surtax, from a facilities perspective, and I use Broward County, you want to understand from a facilities perspective, how does the county go about securing space for warehouse and project use? And if there is a process, you want to be a part of that process. But independently, who do you become more valuable to? It's not so much the county or my cities. You probably become more valuable to prime contractors who win bids in individual cities. And that firm is 20, 30, 40, 50 miles away. Or that firm doesn't have storage space within a mile or 2 or 3 miles of the project activity or the location. So your strategy needs to be, as you find out more about meet and greets, as you find out more about these projects, the same question you're posing as a part of bids, just being strategic. That's the question you always want to lay out, because you have to find a way to make sure all primes know that in case there's a need for warehousing or storage space, you have that available. So again, there's primes that use different lots and other spaces if you just drive around this county. And they pay to rent those spaces from cities and other owners. That's the market you're now saying you're in. But if you're asking the county specifically, I would say using my contracting opportunities meeting that's coming up. You want to speak with somebody from the facilities department. You want to make sure someone from the facilities department know that you got warehouse and storage space, and to see if the county ever rents that from private owners. How do you become a part of that process? Other than that, similar to what you're doing right now, you need to and want to announce to everyone that you have storage and warehouse space available for rent. Because again, it's only the person who needs it that's actually looking.
And Sandy, this one is from Ernie. How about general contractors who do not do transportation related business? Can they still participate on Surtax opportunities?
So again, Surtax, by definition, is for transportation operations, transportation services, infrastructure, including the 31 cities, and the future of rail. So even as a GC, if you see opportunities within that, and remember, it's not just transportation, it's also highway, there's the outreach thing we talked about, but as a GC, that's what the money can only be spent on. As a GC outside of Surtax, as you know, everything the county does creates those opportunities for GC. So also, I want to go back. Remember this, GC, when Barney spoke about even the shelters, when he thought, and they're going to be doing shelters forever, ever, amen. Remember, if I'm a GC, I don't want to miss the shelter beat, because I can go out and find the concrete guy. I can go out and find the electrical guy. I can go out and find what I need in terms of the installation, the carpentry side. So I could potentially bid as a GC on Barney shelters, put my team together, and go bid and do 50 or 75 shelters as a GC. Yes, it's under transportation, penny for transportation, but a shelter fits what a GC does. So remember, look deeper into the scope. Don't run from the name transportation, because again, you might not be related to that, but I believe as a GC, if Barney was to say the aspects of shelters, if we're already buying prefab shelters, someone's going to do the concrete, someone's going to install the shelters, someone's going to fire up the lighting. and put the benches and the amenities around. A GC could facilitate that with other subs. So that's where I believe a GC could be involved in that regard.
Thanks, Andy. I think that's all the questions that have come in so far. I will give everyone the opportunity to raise their hand in their participant right beside their name. They can raise their hand if they have something else they'd like to say. But with that, I can definitely share your contact information. Remind everyone to do their census, please.
So there's our phone number, there's our email for me and for Barney. And again, for me, you can start with me. I'll entertain your questions, have that meeting, respond to your emails. And as I need to lead you to staff, I'll certainly lead you to staff. But again, guys, what we're hoping to do with Savika and Miss McCall and their team, we're looking to do another one of these updates in November, but I'm going to be looking to bring some different projects from highway and other parts of the penny for transportation, but I want to do it in the same manner. We're also probably going to try to find a way that as we begin next calendar year to do the same with some of our cities. Bring some of the cities and their representatives and their projects in to try to help you understand more. Again, we've already stuck the olive branch out to the cities. We will do meet and greets about their projects. So as the cities finalize these ILAs and decide that these projects are going on the street, we're hoping to do more of these with the cities so you can get even familiar with them as you are with us. But again, let me thank Barney McCoy and Transit for joining us this morning, and thank my staff for facilitating this opportunity, and thank all of you as businesses and as CBEs, or those who desire to become CBEs, for entertaining the information we're sharing. And all I can say, stay connected, but use the information we're sharing. Folks, what I do know, though I can never promise you're going to win, I can promise you these projects are going to happen. And I can guarantee you that I'm going to have some small businesses on these projects, meeting and exceeding my goals. You have to decide if you're the small businesses, because the projects will definitely happen, and I'm going to make sure as an office we're using the small businesses in the cities as well as here in the county. So again, thank you for joining us this morning. Wish you well. Stay safe as we go into this phase 2 of this reopening. Everything still is about safety. If you're just reopening your business, it's not about the word reopening. It's about safely reopening your business. And we're just asking you to do all that you can to stay safe, keep your employees safe, and let's bring this economy back in a safe manner. Thank you. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.